Welcome to Changing the Channel with Joe Garner, a show about shifting our individual and collective beliefs on what is possible for the future of humanity. As our understanding of how our reality continues to shift, we are at a point of reunification between science and spirituality. What does the world look like when we break free from the generational trauma that has kept most humans playing small for thousands of years and step into our full power as the co-creators of this reality? I always ask that you keep an open mind with this podcast. Ask yourself what resonates with my truth at this time and what does not. Respect your intuition, but see if you can get through the whole show because there might be that little nugget buried deep in the conversation that unlocks something for you. Welcome back to Changing the Channel. I have a gentleman, we met at an event in Austin while I was staying in Austin, and it was at a conscious capitalist event, and it was a very unique event that I ended up having a little bit of say in, and I had the founder of that group on a little bit earlier this month. His name is Josh Cliffords, and he's the founder and CEO of freewater.io, a change maker in the world combining distribution of water, the funding of clean water projects, and unique marketing opportunities for businesses. So welcome to the show, Josh. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Josh Cliffords, and what has you most excited right now in the world?
Um, I have no life outside of this project. So what's been getting me excited is we're starting to get free water off the ground pretty in a great way. Free Water is a free beverage company. We give away spring water in aluminum bottles and paper cartons. It's free because the packaging is ad space. And every product donates a minimum of 10 cents to charity to build water projects for people who need the help the most. So as of right now, we're manufacturing our 360,000th free beverage, and now we've financed water projects in Kenya and India.
Wow. That sounds like that keeps you pretty busy. So what aspect, are you involved in all of the aspects? Are you going out to these water projects and scouting out, what's your involvement in this project?
So can't do everything, especially in the infant stages of a project. So we've outsourced the water projects to Well Aware, which is an Austin-based nonprofit, and also Charity Water. And so we donated to Charity Water to build some projects in India, which are being under construction now, and Well Aware to do some in Kenya. So I just got back from Kenya, so I got to see some of our former projects firsthand. So that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's got to be very fulfilling to see, the hard work. Again, you're probably spending minimum 8-10 hours a day on this project, and to see the fruit of that has to be very rewarding.
Yeah, it was cool to see it. It felt good, like swiping the card and making the donations, but seeing it firsthand was really special and eye-opening towards what we need to donate to next. Because free water is just meant to be the first product of like free grocery stores, and every product will have a different charitable cause. And so, regardless of whatever the next product might be, let's say soda, beer, whatever, I was thinking it would probably donate towards education. Um, Maybe like solar panels, maybe, a lot of different things, but going and seeing stuff firsthand and being among the people at the first water projects, I realized it probably should be sanitation and soap. Because even if you give someone a school teacher, but you die at the age of 10 to 20 out of just inability to wash your hands, it doesn't work. And so it was eye opening to see, how hard the lives are of the people that we're donating to. For example, they might have a water project now, but some of these families on the lower end of the income in these villages are making $10 a month for a whole family of, let's say, 6 people. But $10 a month is minimal. You don't have extra money available to get things like soap. And also, once they get the free, like the water well from the water well, some of these people are still having to walk like a half an hour home with it. So it's not like this is sending, safe drinking water to your doorstep. You're carrying 40 to 80 pounds, maybe 3 miles home.
True.
So definitely eye opening.
Yeah, yeah, and it's probably good to get your boots on get boots on the ground to see, it's one thing to believe that you're making a change, but to really get out there and to experience what they're really going through, and then, from your perspective as a Westerner to see, okay, here's the other aspects that we can possibly help in their lives to make them just a little bit easier to of an existence.
Totally. And so soap was just one of those things. We saw people cutting up like a bar of soap into 10 pieces, and still even 1/10 of the bar is a luxury item if you have, you know, such minimal resources monthly. And so looking forward to that, getting to get like free soda or whatever the next product is and to start donating immediately.
Finally, a place for listeners to gather and share. Join the Ascension Update Substack for messages and updates from our brothers and sisters helping with the Ascension, articles on the future of humanity, and a Q&A where you can ask my guides anything you would like. This is the hub for everything Ascension related. Click the link in the show notes or go to joegarner.substack.com to stay at the leading edge of this movement. And now, back to the show. Now, I want to get into the idea of this being just the start of free supermarkets, but how did you get into this? What was the impetus for you to start freewater.io?
Um, Initially for my 30th birthday, I went on a trip around the world. And my goal was to travel for years. And along the way, I met a couple of refugees from Nigeria, and their story was so compelling. I started a nonprofit organization to help refugees in Europe. And working with thousands of people, the eye opener was that a large percentage of these people had expressed they had left their country because they didn't have access to clean drinking water or food.
Hmm.
Uh, I would do the same thing. If I didn't have water or food, I would walk to a new place as well. And so that really took me down the whole global water crisis, global famine rabbit hole. It's like, wow, like a billion people with a B need help. And I started looking at like the UN and the government proposals to solve these things. And I didn't think any of them were cutting it. And so I was like, man, it would be great if someone could create an out of the box solution that made donating to these causes as simple as saving money somehow. Because
Hmm.
it's one thing, like if you want to donate, you got to swipe your card and type in all your credentials. But even if you're behind the cause, that's not a good feeling. So it was like, how can we transform the vehicle of donating into something as simple as like getting a free beer or getting a free slice of pizza? If I made a donation every time I ate a free slice of pizza, I would have eaten a lot of free slices of pizza by now. And so that seemed impossible, right? How do you make something free plus donate regardless of what it was? And and that's where the journey began. It was like, well, okay, and now we could do this with one product. Oh wow, we could do this with a number of different products. So it would be great if we could pull it off. And so mechanically, numbers wise, in the US, we drink more bottled water than anywhere else out there. Um, the average American buys at least 3 bottles a day. And so just by getting 10% of Americans or 34 million people to replace one of those paid waters with one free water, we would donate 1.25 billion annually.
Wow.
And then now extrapolate that, well, 100 free products one day. That would be 125 billion donated annually to a bunch of different causes. And I think that that's a more sustainable route than trying to wait for the government to donate 125 billion. And to make sure that the money was that they donated, if they donated it, which they wouldn't, was spent properly. That's a big if, the latter part.
Right. It doesn't go
And
into a black budget,
yeah, yeah,
something
who
or
knows? Who knows? Who knows? So here we are. So really excited about free products. And at this point, years ago, no one thought any of this was possible. Now people are like, hey, I believe you with free water, maybe soda or beer because they're so similar, but no, food's not possible. And so, like, product by product, we're kind of flipping the script and changing the perception that not only could these things be free and donate to charity, but they could be of the highest quality too.
yeah. So I love that you've taken it into your own hands. I think the more people that can take these issues into their own hands, the better that the outcome is going to be. Again, when we start to put, the true intelligence of humanity behind some of these massive, at least discrepancy in the availability of what we consider, necessities, I think that definitely increases the output that the change can have, and it's amazing to see people like yourself doing this and really figuring out, okay, I'm sure there were a ton of roadblocks. Nobody believed that you could do this, and you just worked through them. You solved that, which is typically not what a governmental agency is going to do. They're going to come up against a roadblock and they're going to say, oh, well, I guess we can't go down this road, and then try to come up with some crazy scheme to pull this off. So just want to commend you on even just starting and making that impact in the world. And then the second one is, walk us through a little bit of how does this scale from water to food and eventually to entire supermarkets of goods that are more or less like, what does that economic system look like to you from where you're sitting right now?
Sure. So the phenomenon in our country, Canada and England, is that the advertising medium with the highest ROI is still the junk mail in your physical mailbox,
Hmm.
like the pieces of paper in the mailbox. And it has a 29% ROI, and the cost per 10 impressions starts at $9.50. And you're supposed to send that piece of junk to someone's house 10 times before hopefully achieving that 29% return on ad spend. And so if you get a free beverage, unless you chug it, you're going to look at this thing 10 times before you're done drinking it. It's refillable. It's got a 2-year shelf life. Like, some people have them in their refrigerators for years before they drink them. And so this many billboards right in front of you. And so, yeah, the unit economics just work out, right? And so right now our business is predominantly B2B. We design it, we help add any tech that they want, we ship it to the organization, they distribute it directly to their audience. Next year we're going to get direct to consumer off the ground, which means mixed 24 packs.
Hmm.
And you open that 24 pack and there'll be 24 completely different ads that are individualized. And so once we've got the free water going to people's homes, then we could add free soda, free beer, free loaves of bread, like literally one product at a time, just like Amazon did, starting with books.
Hmm. That sounds fascinating. How how has the ad spend or the marketing, getting the marketing dollars flowing? I mean, you have to have some metrics on what the ROI is on your product at this point, right?
So, number one, to get the movement going, we went out of pocket on the first 50,000 waters last year. So last year we only sold 10,000 waters. This year we've sold like 97% of the waters manufactured. Um, ROI is going to be tricky and take us years to solve, because if you think about it, like even Facebook and Google are 20 years old now. They're old. TV commercials even older, radio commercials even older, the junk mail in the mailbox more than half of a century year old. So it's going to take us years before we could be like, hey, out of 97 car dealerships who advertised, if we rated their ad a 1 through 6, they got this on the engagement. But if they got a 7 through 10, they got like, it's going to take us a really long time to get really big samples. And included in that data has to be a quality metric for that ad.
Hmm.
Because let's just say if it said Delta Airlines and there was a QR code, even though Delta Airlines is a big company, that's not a great ad. Now, what if it said Delta Airlines, buy 2 tickets, get 1 free before, you know, Christmas? That's a great ad. And then how was it deployed? Was it deployed to people at the airport where bottled water could be like $7 a bottle? Well, that would be like a 10 out of 10,
Yeah.
right? Like, and so all of these metrics have to be kind of combined before you could, honestly create ROIs in the future, especially if you wanted to like go by industry even deeper, right?
So do you see yourself more as the distribution network for this, and then the companies are basically in charge of the creative ways that they're going to use this as advertising?
It's a hodgepodge. It's a blank canvas because some companies, like a big company like NBC, they've already got design teams.
Mhm.
And so included in the price, we include design help. But a lot of the times, if it's a major brand, they're just like, "Hey, we're gonna design it. We'll try to give a little feedback," but they probably wouldn't listen anyways.
Right.
To be fully transparent, the bigger the company, I found the less feedback they take on artwork
Hmm.
because they're paying someone probably $250,000 a year to design. But we include all that in there, so it really depends.
Okay. What do you see as the time frame for this? What are your time frame, your goals, your metrics that you're looking to hit?
So we don't want to be the AskJeeves.com of free water and free food. And Ask Jeeves was like the first search engine, and Google was like the 26th search engine or later.
Right.
And so I believe whoever runs direct to consumer best, or at least top 5, top 10 in this new industry that we carved out, you're going to do pretty well. And so that's really our goal, is to expand our B2B and then to launch direct to consumer. Now, direct to consumer has to be done in a creative way because uh, we can't put it in the local supermarket because they sell stuff.
Right.
We couldn't even get it on the shelf at Walmart if we tried, because to go to Walmart.com's website to get stuff on the shelf, when you start filling out the forms, none of it applies to us. There's like a standard 20 forms you fill out, and it'll say, well, what does it retail for? What could we wholesale it for? What's the profit margin look like? This is a completely different model, and they're not going to want to give it away. And we can't put it on Amazon because Amazon takes a percentage of what you sell.
Right.
So that's why we have to go straight to people's homes, and we're also launching free vending machines, and it just takes time when you're carving out like brand new distribution methods, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But things are happening fast. I mean, there's copycats popping up all around the world. I'd say at least 100 so far.
Shoot.
People in India, Germany, Australia. So the industry in general is growing very quickly. And so I would say, advertising on beverages is probably the fastest growing new type of medium in the USA, if not the world right now.
That's fascinating. I didn't even know it existed until I moved to Austin. So, it's impressive. And were you guys the first movers? Were you like the first company that you know about to come up with this?
People have been advertising on like water bottles and things for conferences for years. People have offered like what's known as white labeled bottled water, like put your logo on it. Like car
Mhm.
dealerships have done it. So no, we're not the first like advertise on a food or beverage vessel. Um, but I do believe we're the first to be negatively priced, like free plus also donating to charity,
Mhm.
in any physical good in the world. Also, I believe we're the first and by far the leaders at layering like media and e-commerce over these things. Like augmented reality and methods for shopping and these buy it now scenarios. And yeah,
So
definitely.
that's an aspect of it as well. Like you're kind of getting into this
Totally,
newest
totally.
technology.
So, I also kind of design new types of bidding algorithms and backend engines for this new type of advertising platform. Like Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, they all utilize the same functions to drive advertising into their platform.
Mhm.
So I kind of took that and reshuffled the deck and put our own little blend of herbs and spices, which will be launching in the future. But that's going to allow for individualized content on every food and beverage out there. And
Yeah.
so it's just different, like Coca-Cola, every can of Coke is the same. In the future, we see them copying where, yeah, the Coke logo is just in the corner, but this is going to be just for you.
Interesting. Now, how
That
does
requires, yeah, sorry, go for it.
how does that change the way that companies are doing business? I mean, for how does that shift the idea of the product is the product to the product is now just the vehicle for an advertising?
I think it'll be different for different CEOs and founders. And what I mean by that is some people might start it or get in this industry because they believe that it's a better way of doing business and it's better for their community or the environment. Or Then you'll have other people that just do it because they just care purely about dollars and cents.
Hmm.
And so from the dollars and cents perspective, you can't make $1,000 off of a can of Coke. There's not one single business process that's currently in existence where they could earn $1,000. Maybe the most expensive can of Coke sold might be at like Yankee Stadium or something for $15, right?
Right.
Now there's hundreds of ways you could earn more than $1,000 when it's a platform, when the vehicle is a platform. Just like the internet, it's as infinite as the internet. And that's why they're going to copy. There's also new ways of manufacturing and distributing goods in the future that are only possible if things are free or negatively priced. And we 100% invented all of that. And so this will enable people to get rid of 95% of the current supply chain. And so if you're talking like every layer of friction costs like Coca-Cola money, for example,
Right.
Amazon money. And so by getting rid of 95% of those layers of friction, Walmart will be able to make that much more money, which is also why they're going to copy. Not, it happens to be much greener, but I personally don't think that the companies care about that. And so why this is special is it took me a long time to make the greenest thing, the socially conscious thing, the most profitable in the future. Because typically, like the socially conscious thing to date is not the most profitable,
Right.
or the consumer spends more for it, right? And now in this model, it becomes that. And so I think it'll change the industry a lot. I don't think you'll see like, even with plastic bottles, you won't see the ribbed ones anymore. You know, like they're ribbed, they're
Hmm.
like grooved for your hand. You'll see that go away because that's not good for marketing.
Mm.
You're going to see the shape of bottles change. I believe like Red Bull, for example, those really skinny aluminum containers are going to disappear because they're not good for advertising on. You wouldn't want to put like a car on that. You would want it to be the width of a standard beer can. And so I think like even if you're for sale, you're going to utilize your real estate differently. If you're free, you're going to do it. You'll see companies have free and for sale products. Like you'll see Amazon offer at least one product for free. Why? Because then it allows them to deliver products for sale in a different way too.
Hmm. Yeah, this is flipping everything I know about retail
Yeah. Like
up
an
on its head.
example is like the mail person, right? Like think of junk mail. When they drop off junk mail, they drop it off at your house, the neighbor's house, thousands of consecutive homes. The trash collector picks up your trash and then the neighbors, thousands of consecutive homes. But Amazon and Walmart will drop a package off at your house, drive 20 miles over there, drop a package. That's not as efficient as going house after house.
Hmm.
You could only go house after house after house delivery when the products have no price.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
So
there's these new physical models in the future that are going to radically change producing things and distributing them.
right. Now, at some point, something has to be for sale, right? Like everything can't be free because then there's no advertising dollars for the advertisers to be spending on these free products. I mean, where does
Where I
that?
guess, yeah, where do you draw the line? People are always like, "Hey, if everything's free, who's going to advertise?" Right.
Right.
So number one is I'll agree and disagree with that statement because free doesn't mean without profit.
Hmm.
So think about like Facebook's free, Google's free, Fortnite's free, porn is free. These are all the most profitable endeavors and industries out there, and they spend more money on marketing than anybody else. So free again doesn't mean it's charity. There's a reason why Google and Facebook is free, and it's not because they love us so much. It's because that's the most profitable thing. And then number two, you've got things like the iPhone. So these have to be delivered for free in different mechanisms, like an ad just on this water or beer or loaf of bread on the physical packaging could pay for it, but uh, a Budweiser logo couldn't make this iPhone and case free because it's $1,000.
Right.
So this product could only be free via an exchange of your time, like YouTube,
Hmm.
right? Like if you were willing to watch X number of ads, you could totally get this paid for free, right? Or your Uber or your trip to Hawaii or so that has to be done differently. So you'll see products like this, like a Casio watch that could only be made free through an exchange of your time, that's one category of product to advertise. But in the future, I believe you're going to see like free McDonald's advertising versus free KFC.
Right.
And, I do think that those companies will ultimately become free or have free versions of themselves because it's more profitable.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to kind of wrap your head around for the, first time really truly understanding what this idea and where the future that you're moving toward looks
Yeah,
like.
and again, like, because things are becoming more efficient and many items are becoming cheaper and cheaper to make, it opens up all of these avenues. For example, I think it's Dallas. They have the first humanless McDonald's. There's no human in there. It's all automated,
Mhm.
right? So obviously their cost for making a burger is much cheaper than the traditional
Yeah,
route, right? And so having an ad on the burger wrapper, on the napkins, on the cup, on the building, in the app, that more than pays for that Big Mac value meal.
right,
But again, by doing the ad model, then and especially when you target it, now you have the ability where you could sell a Jeep off the can, off of the cup, off of the wrapper. And getting, just a couple percent in commission off of a Jeep is thousands of dollars. And
right,
so again, it's like, oh, we can't make $1,000 off of a Big Mac. We can't do some of these things. We're losing a lot of food in our very wasteful cycle. Um, but when it's free, oh wow, we could get rid of a lot of that waste and do things a little bit differently.
hmm. So
So
would the
yeah,
idea be that essentiusly everything's free? You can almost project out how many people are going to come to, let's say, your restaurant. You can pretty much project that out based on past sales or past number of giveaways that you've done, and that limits the amount of waste that you have. And then again, you're
well, again, for example, let's just say a for sale McDonald's, like the one that exists right now. There's only so many people that you could get through the drive-through in a 24-hour period because they've got to order verbally, mainly still. They have to pay, like swipe the card, switch to cash. So by removing those two things right there, now all of a sudden you're getting that many more people through a drive-through,
mm,
right? And so if you and I took out in the future the free McDonald's app, you place that order, you go get your cheeseburger, it's going to send you to that McDonald's. Right, like, it knows you're coming, right?
mhm,
It's like a self-driving car, you'll have to have the destination in the app before you get in the car. And so yeah, by them knowing that you're coming, you could have already have watched the ads in your phone that paid for your whole burger,
hmm,
right? I mean, they're still gonna get their same money for the burger. It's just that the revenue model's different, just like porn. I mean, in the '90s, no one thought porn was gonna be free too.
yeah. Now,
Kinda kicked everything off.
right now, does this feel like it opens society up? Like, where does this take society as we start to move towards this type of model?
I think it depends on who becomes the leaders in this new industry. So if you have very unethical people leading these sort of projects, it could very quickly become the Facebook of free supermarkets or worse,
Mhm.
right? That's that's the truth. Like that's why I saw everything going towards zero in price eventually. I was like, okay, we got to really raise the bar and go beyond zero, like zero plus 10 or 20% for charity to start and have that be the starting point. Um, where I see it going is depending on how you look at it, a lot of people could be out of the job in the future with automation and AI, and a lot of just things are changing really quickly, right? And so people still have to eat. People are still going to need things, even if a robot took your job in the future. And so I do see it going this way regardless. Now, again, like I think if why we've been progressive at it and we want to be the catalyst for it and why we're trying to raise the bar so high is to try to steer it away from being the Facebook of free supermarkets, to have it be something completely different and done in the most ethical way possible. Um, which is also why we're not doing it in plastic, here in the US and a lot of other countries where we're starting at. But other people are, people are already copying and they're doing their version of free water in a plastic bottle.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, maybe they're distributing it to people that couldn't afford it in the first place. So even if it was in the plastic bottle, I still find that to be more ethical than
Right.
selling
A
it.
$5
And
water bottle or something like that.
yeah, and again, like free water is a publicly traded in the futures market. And so you typically don't make things publicly traded unless you want the price to go to the moon. So like my biggest fear is a world where we continue on the scarcity route and now we're pumping barrels of water from, the Middle East or Africa to America and selling it for, the price of oil right now or more because a bottle of water is already well more than the price of a bottle of oil.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, I'm not trying to be unrealistic and that's saying, hey, you're going to take already the most profitable product in the US and make it less profitable. The powers to be, I don't think would allow that to happen. So that's why I really wanted to create a really conscious capitalistic model to, hey, say it could be greener, it could be more socially conscious, but it could be more profitable if done right.
And it feels like a good stepping stone. It feels like a good, intermediate
Sure.
opportunity to at least open people up to this idea of not having to pay for everything in their life. That there can
Totally.
be things for free. That we can have this almost shared responsibility as far as what are necessities in humans' lives. Like, let's share that responsibility of getting that to all the humans in the world, instead of it being on the shoulders of, either corporations or nonprofits or the governmental agencies or, these NGOs and these groups that just seem to amass a whole bunch of power, but don't necessarily use that power to do anything about what they're supposed to be doing it about. And this is a way to almost
Sure.
democratize that process instead of centralizing that process, which seems to have been, at least for the last 30 to 50 years, there's just been this centralization of these, you know, do-gooding parts of society, which, again, anytime you centralize any type of
Yeah.
authority, you're going to run into issues and problems.
I think we're trying to decentralize a lot of it. Number one, I do like the thought, yeah, democratizing donating to make it as simple as just, oh, I drink a free water and now I donated, or I ate a free slice of pizza and now I donated. You don't have to be wealthy to donate with this model. Um, and then it'll ultimately be a decentralization of the physical means of production. Because right now, Coca Cola's grander are these mega factories that they have. But the phenomenon is that they built them incorrectly for a world that things have a price.
Hmm.
So their current juggernaut systems are built for today's world, not for tomorrow's future. And so in order for them to maintain a lead role in these future things, I see them not only copying the ad model, but copying the donations to charity and copying localized micro factories versus centralized mega factories. And that's the only way for them to get rid of 95% of this friction that's currently costing them a lot of money. And so I can't wait for the day, like small people are copying now, but I can't wait for the day for Coca-Cola to copy because when every can of Coke in the world gives 10 cents to charity or more, this is a lot of money. Like it's it any way you slice it. Like ChatGPT puts it as one of the largest redistributions of wealth in history. And that's just if a can of Coke gave 10 cents. So what if other stuff did too?
Right. Now, do you ever see there being a conflict of interest? Let's say a health organization speaking about how bad Coke is for you wants to, you know, put an advertisement on a Coke can. Do you see an issue with that, or is it just going to be
So in traditional plain vanilla capitalism, they would totally find an issue about it. Because right now, if the CEO of Pepsi offered the CEO of Coke $10 per can to put their logo there, they would say no.
right?
But they should say yes because they would 10 times their money and they're publicly traded and profit is their goal. Now on the flip side, with like advertising platforms, every day TikTok advertises on Google, and every day Google advertises on Facebook, and every day Facebook advertises on Twitter
Hmm.
and link. Like none of them call and say, "Hey guys, will you let me do this?" It's just how business is done.
It's ad
And so
dollars.
this is more similar to that way. So people
Okay.
are always like, "Hey, would you ever put a Dasani ad on a free water?" It's like, of course. It's going to
Right.
donate a bunch of money to charity.
Beautiful.
Now, would Coca-Cola let us put a free water ad on their bottle of Dasani today? No, but in the future, I believe that that script will be flipped, and simply because it just won't work anymore. Like,
Right. They are just a much a product of the market that is currently in existence, and as the market changes, I don't think there's any company big enough to buck the entire market of the
so
or
let
the
me let
economy.
me ask you a question. Do you personally care more about brand name or quality? If it's the
Mm,
same price?
if it's the same price,
Yeah, would you rather have like the highest quality or the biggest name?
I would say quality.
Most people are going to choose quality, right? So everyone's looking for the highest quality product, the best level of customer service, and the best price. Very few people are going to choose name over those three.
Right.
Um, this water will put up against Fiji or Evian. We didn't go cheapy water. We went with premium water in a premium container. It's negatively priced. It's free. We promised 10 cents per bottle to charity. We're probably averaging north of 16 cents right now. We're donating more than we're promising. And yeah, why would you not want the highest quality product for the cheapest possible price
Yeah.
on everything? And so a lot of people right now, a lot of the brands, I believe, think that their name is worth more than quality.
Mm.
And I think that's what's going to change in the future.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough lesson for them to learn if they
Just
continue
like with
that.
micro beer breweries, like their beers are oftentimes more expensive than Budweiser, but the quality is a major differentiation factor. Same thing with like a smaller farm versus the Foster's farms or whatever.
Right.
So now there's this opportunity to take that higher quality, but then offer it for free or negatively priced in a creative way.
Hmm.
So some people, big brands like might still have just free Dasani versus the smaller ones are going to go free, much higher quality water. And I don't know, it's a social experiment.
It is, yeah, and like you said, I mean, it will go with the level of consciousness that is evolving on in humanity. So if we continue to operate from this lower level of consciousness of, basically scarcity mindset and each person up against each other, this becomes, this system of just massive corporations inflicting more and more
Mhm.
pressure on smaller and smaller groups of people. But if people make the decision, if you and I make the decision to, I'm only going to get my free water from a company that donates to up to 20 or 30% of the money that they're bringing in. That's how we differentiate. Again, it starts with the individual at the very foundational. Any change is gonna start at the individual level, no matter what.
Yeah, I just think that the value proposition and quality as the dust settles will like the cards are going to fall where the cards are going to fall, but when someone could choose between like a free banana or the banana that costs 50 cents, if the quality is similar, I'm going to go with the free one.
Right.
And now if they're like, "Hey, this one's free, but this one's free and donates 10 cents,"
I'm going with
you're
that one.
probably going to go with that one. And so you're going to see those three options occur, or those multiple options occur in just a number of different industries: food, beverage, computers, transport, clothing, like the whole 9 yards. And yeah, it'll be really interesting. Maybe some industries won't change. Maybe people will be like, "Ah, you know what? No, I'm going to just keep it as it changes. I'm going to pay for the McDonald's. I don't want that free McDonald's." But I believe that most people are gonna go towards the free and negatively priced option, just like porn, YouTube, Spotify. 90% of people go with free YouTube. Only
Right.
10% pay for commercial free YouTube.
Right.
And I think that you'll see that with every industry that this will apply to.
Well, this is beautiful. I'm very excited. You have made me a believer in this 35-minute conversation. So I am thankful that you came on. I'm thankful that you made this your mission in life. And for anybody looking to learn a little bit more, learn about marketing or getting their own 12-pack of free water, what's the best place to go to?
To our website, freewater.io, or to reach out through social media, which is also freewater.io.
Perfect. Well, Josh, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck as you change the way that people, receive and do retail shopping.
Thank you. And thanks again for having me. I'd love to do it again, maybe next year.
Yeah. Let's keep in touch. Thank you again for listening to Changing the Channel with Joe Garner. If you enjoyed the show, please follow the podcast, hit the bell to know when a new show comes out, share with a friend, and rate us on whatever platform you're tuning in from. It helps get these messages out to more people to create the collective shift in reality we are here to experience. Make sure you interact with the Q&A and poll sections of the show so I can continue to provide content you enjoy. Finally, check out my website in the show notes to become a VIP of Changing the Channel and join the shift that is happening.